week on the Virtual Skeptics. Bob is romancing. Steve is cheating. Barb is mindful. And Tim is missing. I'm your host, Brian Gregory. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Yes?
And Ash Wednesday.
This is true. We are actually doing a show. You're not hallucinating or anything. This is
us. This is not like sensory deprivation where you haven't seen us for a while and then you start thinking that you're seeing us, but you're really not because your brain just isn't being, used that way. No, that's not it. This is actually happening.
Wow. It's also not this show that we did this last time where we talked about joking that we were actually doing a show and we hadn't done one for a few weeks. So it's not that one either.
It's not a repeat.
New one.
This is just how it is now.
And we're definitely live unless we're not.
Unless we're not, yeah.
Yes.
True.
I haven't quite worked out the virtual Bob yet. Working on it, though. This is Virtual Skeptics. Thanks for tuning in. Let me introduce the crew. This is Bob Blaskowitz. He's highest conspiracy guy, web columnist, blogger for Skeptical Humanities, and Skepticality contributor. This is E. Siebert. This is as fast as possible. Editor and blogger at Skeptical Humanities and contributor to Skepticality and Insight at skeptic.com. And this is Barbara Drescher, former psychology instructor, blogger at ICBS Everywhere, and contributor to skeptical projects such as Insight at skeptic.com and The Odds Must Be Crazy. And I'm sorry, Tim, I'm not doing your intro.
Oh, now we're punishing him.
Damn.
Or not be here. You want your intro? Be here.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some stuff you're going to watch. And if you want to contribute, hey, you can do that. You can tweet with hashtag Virtual Skeptics, or you can use the, there's a thing on YouTube. I don't even have it set up yet. It's just tweet with hashtag Virtual Skeptics, please, because then I can actually pay attention and use you in the show and stuff. Also
on the YouTube.
On the YouTubes, there are people
on the
YouTubes. Okay,
yeah.
Well, I'll figure that out while someone else is talking. Anyway, if you can figure out what the movie is behind me.
One has guessed the movie.
Yes, someone. What? Really?
Someone has guessed the movie.
I'm sure that they have, because this one should be.
I'm sure it wasn't a guess.
Well, now it's not an easy one because I recognize all of the actors, and I sort of recognize the look, but I've never seen the movie. I don't think so.
What?
I don't know what it is.
I stumped Barbara.
Yeah.
This is my goal. So there you go. It's totally worth. It's been totally worth the 3 weeks off. Anyway,
the whole time you were contemplating which movie to play.
I know, and that was the dog. Just ignore it.
Did I just see Rob Schneider?
Yes, Rob Schneider.
Oh dear God!
Oh
yes,
Christ!
Everyone is in this movie.
And
well, it was Wesley Snipes, and then anyway. So I guess let's do the show thing, because you have to do the show thing.
We can't just watch the movie.
We can talk about the movie when we feel like it, if you really want to.
Okay. I'm just kind of disappointed in you for bringing Rob Schneider on our show.
I know.
That's
Sorry.
all.
I apologize for the Schneider. This is Rob Schneider. as a carrot? I don't know. What the whole South Park thing? Never mind. Rob Schneider. Never mind. Who's first anyway? Barbara's first.
I believe that's me.
Yeah. You're on, Barbara.
Wow. Okay, so tonight I'm talking about something that showed up in my Facebook feed, of course.
You gotta stop going on Facebook.
Maybe it was on maybe it was on my Twitter feed actually. I think it was in my Twitter feed. It was something that Steve Novella posted on the Ness that drew my attention to an article. Because he's been writing about meditation lately, and we've talked about meditation. So it, of course, I think the last time we talked about meditation, I was talking about how there were all these difficulties in defining what meditation is, because there are just different. There are all these this research that doesn't clearly define what it is they're talking about, or they try to compare different types of meditation. And this was what Steve was writing about was a meta-analysis about mindfulness meditation, but it's pretty much in line with a lot of the research that other types of meditation has found as well, and that is pretty much nothing. But this one was particularly interesting. Now, mindfulness meditation is the technique is basically being very present and aware of your thought processes without daydreaming or anything like that. So it's not that different from other types of meditation, like transcendental meditation or something where you focus on a word or something, or you just focus on your breathing.
Or fly.
Yeah. In that,
Mindfully.
or more like hop. In that you focus on one thing and you exclude other things. So you're always trying to bring yourself back to what it is you're focusing on, and you try not to allow your mind to wander. So what they looked at, now a meta-analysis is basically when researchers they do a literature review or a literature search, and then they pull out studies that meet a specific criteria. So these are studies that can be lumped together. Mostly, they don't look for studies that where the outcome was positive or negative or anything like that. They use exclusion criteria in order to allow the studies to be lumped together so that they can do an analysis of the analysis or a meta-analysis. So they put all of the research together, and whenever possible, a good meta-analysis will also include a meta-statistical analysis, and that's where they use as much data as they can, hopefully raw data, but not always. And they put it all together, and they actually run statistical tests on the research as a whole. So they will evaluate the studies for all sorts of things like quality and so forth, and outcomes. And in this case, they did both a meta-analysis of the research and a statistical meta-analysis. And what they found, they actually looked at a specific question, and that was mindfulness meditation and its effects on pro-social behavior. So pro-social behaviors are behaviors exactly what they sound like. There are behaviors that are socially beneficial to other people, which I guess is redundant since I said social. So, so they looked at 5 social behaviors that they identified in these research. They looked at compassion, empathy, aggression, connectedness, and prejudice. And what they found was very interesting, I thought. They found a moderate increase in prosociality following meditation. But it depended on the type of prosociality and the methodological quality. So they only found, now, and yes, this is where it gets interesting. So they only found that meditation interventions had an effect on compassion and empathy. So they didn't find any effect of meditation on aggression, connectedness, or prejudice. And aggression is one of those that people think is automatically included in that because, of course, if you meditate, you relax. And if you relax, you're not aggressive, right? Well, apparently not so. So that I thought was interesting in and of itself. But what was really interesting about it was
it meta interesting? Never mind.
It was.
Sorry.
It was. I don't think the interestingness was interesting, but
interesting.
What you're saying now it's meta interesting. So that's a little bit of a chicken or egg thing. So here's where it gets really fun. Is not the type of prosociality. So it only had an effect on compassion and empathy, but the fact that the methodological quality affected.
What's that about?
Well, that's when you actually evaluate the quality of the research. And before I get to how it affected it, I would like to
the crappy ones that showed the most effect.
Well, it depends on what you think is crappy, because apparently they were all crappy.
Ah.
Oh.
Let me tell you about the methodological quality of the studies in general. It was generally weak.
Well, isn't that the type of thing that when you go into a meta-analysis, don't you look for stuff that is well designed?
Well, no, you look for what you can find. and if and you
And then
use
you,
what you can find.
I figured that if you
and
had,
and
you know,
you
like
and
exclusion
if you
criteria,
can exclude, well, you exclude on all sorts of criteria, and if you have enough research to evaluate only the good studies, then you can evaluate only the good studies. Unfortunately, they only had like it was under 100 studies. I mean, it was and 2/3 of them were weak. Only a third were graded as moderate, and none had a grading of strong. So if you're only going to look at the strong studies, then you're going to be screwed.
that tells
Only
you
two
something
studies,
else.
yeah, only 2 studies assessed confounding factors, such as demand characteristics.
Wow.
Only 5 reported the method of randomization. All except one of the studies, where the intervention was taught by a person, used a meditation teacher that was named author in the study. And information was unavailable for 2 of those studies. So some of the studies, I think it was like 8 of them. I think the final number was in the 30s, in the number of studies. I don't recall, but 8 of the studies, or some of the studies used written instructions, and or audio tape or something like that, and some of them used individual teachers. And all but one of those individual teachers, or all but one study where they used individual teachers, the teachers were authors in the study. So here's what they found when it came to methodology. The effects that they found disappeared when you looked only at studies that used an active control group. This is active versus passive one. And here's the difference between an active and a passive control group. Let's say you're looking at the effects of watching violent television on aggressive thoughts. Your control group is not going to sit in a room and do nothing while your treatment group watches violent television. That's not a good way to study it, because the explanation for any differences between the groups can simply be the fact that they watch something. So maybe they're more aggressive if they watch comedies or dramas.
Rob Schneider movies.
Yeah. So you always have you always want to have an active control group when it makes sense. So yeah. You want to be able to control or to compare, say, violent movies to comedies, or violence to dramas, or violence to music, or violence to all of the musicals, all of those things. And that's how you get a real control group is if you're giving a pill, for example, if you want to know the effects of a pain medication, you don't give the treatment group a pill and the control group nothing. You give the control group a placebo, because the act of just taking the pill actually changes how the person, it can't be blind, for example. It can't be blind or double blind.
Unless it's energy healing.
Yeah. Unless it's something where you want to show the effects. You want to show some effects. So some of the studies did not have active control groups. And that is a problem, because when they looked at the studies versus the control groups versus the passive control groups versus the active control groups, only the active ones, or only the passive ones, showed effects. But here's the big one. The levels also only increased under that condition and one other, and that was when the co-author of the study was one of the teachers. So that is what we call experimenter bias. When the experimenter knows what is going on and what they want to have the outcome be, they affect the outcome. And this can be totally innocent.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But the teacher actually has an effect. So in the case where the teacher was not an author in the study, that teacher was probably blind to the condition, or blind to the study, probably didn't even know what they were studying, and did not affect the outcome. And guess what? There were no differences. And what this tells me is that mindfulness meditation probably has no effect on prosocial behavior. it almost absolutely has no effect, because this is a pretty decently done meta-analysis. And maybe if there was better research, but obviously bad research gets more positive results than good research does. So
Yeah. So it'll
I'm
get more
pretty
press
skeptical.
too.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of the fact that it gets a
Well-
better result. That sucks.
Yeah.
Burn it all down.
So I'm a little skeptical that mindfulness meditation at least, but probably any meditation, has any effect on anything. And the title that of Steve's post was mindfulness meditation is no better than watching TV. So basically the idea here is that you relax, and if you relax, then there are beneficial, outcomes to relaxation, and we know that lowers your blood pressure, it does all sorts of things. And if you relax watching TV, you might get the same effects as if you spent 20 minutes thinking about thinking.
Or spending 20 minutes shooting zombies in a video game, because that
Yeah.
really calms me big time.
I just get all uptight when that happens.
When you have to kill zombies in a video game.
Yeah, I get really
Yeah.
into it.
Well, that's not your way to relax then.
Yeah.
You
maybe
watch
you
watch
should-
TV or something.
Watch Gilmore Girls or something. I don't know.
Murder Kerbals.
Hey, no, not
Murder.
Gilmore Girls.
Purple murder.
Rob Schneider. So my first thought was about, because obviously they've found a lot of studies to pull from. But these kinds of
Enough.
things, yeah, I mean, is it? I mean, I was thinking about like cam medicine and things like that, where it seems like things with effects that can be measured, but under bias, but the bias isn't obvious. Are these the kind of things that end up getting studied a lot because people really want them to be true, or they really want to illustrate that they're
that's actually I think that's a fundamental problem, that there are these many studies, because there's no theoretical basis that underlies this.
Yeah.
We don't, in psychology, we tend not to study things without a theoretical basis. And that's because it's bad science to do that. And it's bad science for several reasons. One big reason it's bad science is that the underlying statistics, or the not so much the mechanics of the underlying of the statistics, but things like the what we call alpha, which is something that we set, which is the criteria we're looking to pass before we say that something is significant. That stuff is, and some of the math actually is even based on the idea that what you're studying is theoretically plausible, that it's theoretically likely even. So we use, in psychology, we tend to use an alpha of 0.05, and that basically means that you would get the same outcome 5% of the time if there were no effects. If there were no effects, you would actually see effects 5% of the time. If you did the study over and over and over again, 5% of the time, just random chance would give you the same effect. Would give you, you would see an effect.
There's all
That's why you replicate it, because when you replicate it, it actually goes down to 2.5% if you did it a second time, and so forth. So, so you're reasonably certain that you wouldn't see these effects if there were nothing going on in the world. So you wouldn't see these effects in the laboratory if there were nothing going on in the world. That is actually based on the assumption that you went into it with something that's theoretically likely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your alpha should be much lower than that. It should be like 1%. So if you don't have theory to your science, if you don't start with a good theory, then it's not good science. And unfortunately, that's what we do when we study things like acupuncture and meditation these days. It was probably, I mean, you could probably come up with a good theory for the first study, but your first few studies, but not when you studied it 30 or 40 times and you're still, you know, not seeing anything.
Casting around, yeah.
Yeah. At that point, you got to, you shouldn't be sinking money into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in medicine, sometimes there are like pharmacology things that it may not be obvious what the mechanism is.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
apologize.
That's true.
I've got an insane dog running
It's
back
okay.
and forth behind me.
It's not that bad.
See him? He's going
We can
crazy.
hear him. I can hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why in medical research, the alphas tend to be much lower, actually. They tend to be like 0.01.
Okay.
So you need to be in the 1% in order to be able to say that it's effective. So it depends on the question you're asking.
Yeah.
Right. The alpha depends on the question that you're asking. And so if you're asking multiple questions at once, you want your alphas to be lower too, because if you ask 5 questions, and each has a 5% chance of being wrong, you know, each positive result has a 5% chance of being wrong, then you've got a 25% chance of being wrong. So in that case, you actually want to cut it down to 0.01, because then you now have a 5% chance, which is what you're supposed to be starting off with. So yeah, in medical research, they tend to be, the alphas tend to be lower. The criteria tends to be, the bar tends to be higher. You know?
So how do you communicate this kind of stuff to people who don't have the scientific education, or they don't, because it seems like it's all in the details, and
it is,
and learning how to
this
look
is
for whether or not something is reliable as a study, or I mean, and especially with the
this is what gets to me. You know, in skepticism, we're very fond of telling people, well, you need to cite sources, and you need to cite sources, and you need to be original research. And that to me is utter bullshit, because any lay person, and this access to articles thing is another issue. It is a double-edged sword. Anybody can go cherry pick research, but if you do not have the training evaluating that research, it's going to be very, very difficult. And I'm talking about some pretty advanced training. You've got to be a methodologist to really do a thorough job at evaluating research. You're not even going to catch it all unless it's in your field. You can certainly evaluate something outside your field for certain things, like statistical, how good the statistics are, if the statistical tests were appropriate, things like that, and even methodological questions. Yeah. But you're not necessarily going to catch everything, because you don't know the jargon and so forth. So, and there are little pitfalls in every field and subfield that you can catch if you're an expert. So to me, it is actually much more important to cite experts than it is to cite original research, unless you are an expert in the field, in which case, you know, hopefully you can cite original research. People are always asking me for citations for stuff that I know. And I'm like, you know, I've read thousands of articles. I can't catalog them in my head. I don't have a catalog in my head to be able to say, oh yeah, this is the one that taught me this, or that said that, or I can pull out 5 that say this. There are certain topics where I have that, you know, somewhere written down because I wrote a paper on it, or something like that, or I can remember it specifically. But I some of it I just know because I studied it at some point, you know?
Yeah.
But methodology is not something you can easily learn. It's not something, I mean, it's even people who are trained at it aren't necessarily good at it. You know, it's a tough one. So refer to experts. I mean, when it comes to medical knowledge, I turn to science-based medicine probably first.
I mean, that's part of the problem nowadays, is that so many people are resistant to listening to experts because, well, people that are outside of our, you know, that aren't friendly to science, people who are the ones that need to be convinced, they see, because there's an elitism kind of tied into it, and then there's some cultural stuff that's tied into it.
There's a lot of anti-intellectualism, but even people within skepticism don't listen to experts. I mean, we've seen skeptics go up on the stage and rip entire fields of study to shreds because they did a Google research that and took a few hits that matched what they believed. So we're not immune to it. I mean, skeptics are not immune to it. And anybody can find an expert or somebody who claims to be an expert that agrees with them. I mean, Deepak Chopra has, a neuroscience degree. So, but
yes, well, there's an ethical issue as well, but
yes, there is. But it's a tricky thing. It is a tricky thing, and you gotta. It's not black and white. There's no easy answers to any of this stuff. But I strongly believe in relying on experts who know their research.
Yeah. I managed to stretch out Barbara's short segment to a whole half hour.
Oh, wow.
That was good.
Sorry.
Well, 25 minutes. Close enough.
But thanks, Barbara. That was really cool. And I think who's next? Eve's next, and I'm kind of looking forward to Eve's got some stuff about the Olympics. I thought was
Yeah. It's actually the story's a few weeks old now, but the kairos, which is a rhetorical term meaning timeliness, still seems appropriate. And I'm cheating a little bit because I'm talking briefly about two stories, one of which isn't really that skeptical, but it's just weird. But first,
we like
the
weird.
The Winter Olympics have begun. Now, because the Winter Olympics tend to take place in reasonably chilly conditions, it's hard to tell what pointless voodoo athletes are using to keep themselves in tip-top shape. At the 2016 Summer Olympics in Brazil, athletes were proudly displaying decorative bruises. If you can bring up the first slide.
Yep.
Now, although cupping is ancient, it has no benefit.
That's hilarious. Therapeutic hickeys.
Cannot possibly do what is claimed for it because it turns out blood clotting is not the same thing as blood circulation, not even close. And it can go horribly wrong if you bring up the next slide.
Oh boy!
See this one.
That's got to be heated
I'm
cupping.
not holding that up there very long.
It is also just repeated cupping in the same place over and over.
Oh,
but while cupping was getting all the attention at the last Olympics, some athletes were still going for the semi-nude mummy look with kinesio text tape or KT tape. And I believe I have a couple slides of Summer Olympians in their
I saw tape on the inside of.
We're getting to that.
Sure it was a tape.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So these are the Summer Olympians.
Next one.
And I think there's a second.
Are they
one.
writing words in another language or something on her shoulder?
She's got like a squid on her belly.
What the hell is that crap?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a spider tech.
Yeah,
it says on there.
So, although the kinesio tape is particularly in evidence on the volleyball players, just love it. And actually saw it more at the previous Summer Olympics.
It looks
but
like
still,
crappy war paint. That's basically what it is. Crappy war paint.
Yeah. But for this Olympics, when U.S. figure skater Mirai Nagasu landed
I knew it was!
During team competition, many Twitter users noticed what looked like a tattoo on her inner thigh.
That's what I kept saying. That's a tattoo. She got a tattoo, right?
Yeah,
and then I realized,
what the hell is that?
And then I realized what it was.
Naturally, those confused people, took to Twitter, and KT Tape, the makers of KT Tape, happily responded. If you can bring up the next slide, explaining that it wasn't a tattoo, it was U.S. branded kinesio tape. KT Tape, it turns out, is the official tape licensee for the United States Olympic and Paralympic teams. Yay.
Okay.
Now, according to a 9-year-old article I read, Lance Armstrong claimed the hot pink version helped him win the Tour de France. I'm sure he did claim that.
And
no doubt at all.
A little dope, too. Yeah.
It was the tape.
Also
sure.
the cheating.
Yeah. This article also says
Oh, that's horrible.
kinesio tape, quote, is designed to reduce pain and inflammation, improve circulation of lymphatic fluid, correct muscle function, and reposition a partially dislocated joint. It's marketed for a wide variety of uses, from headaches to foot problems. Consumers say it has helped with such disorders as cerebral palsy, carpal tunnel syndrome, and plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis.
Fasciitis, yes.
I suffer.
Fascist planters.
Fascist.
Yes. Breast
It's a
cancer
horrible-
survivors have used it to increase lymphatic flow, unquote. According to an article on Inverse, some of that crap about pain relief and lymphatic flow, but not breast cancer survivors, was echoed during the Brazil Olympics by Dr. Heather Linden of the U.S. Olympic Sports Medicine Team. Although she does admit that there's little evidence aside from athlete feedback to support its efficacy. But then, it goes on to say, but if the athletes think it gives them a boost, and it gives them a boost, sort of. Or the article does. Me. However,
No, it doesn't.
in 2015, Alexander Vukovic of Massachusetts filed a class action lawsuit against the makers of KT tape, claiming false advertising was used to market the product. That case was recently settled. The makers of KT tape have agreed to pay $1.75 million to resolve the suit. In addition to creating a fund to reimburse customers, the company will remove the following label claims. It will keep you pain-free, prevents injury, and provides 24-hour pain relief per application. In addition, they have added the disclaimer that the tape is not clinically proven for all injuries. It would have been better if it simply said, does not do fuck all, but I guess it's a start. Though, while they're careful with their claims, their aggressive marketing and the use of the useless product by Olympic athletes, and as well as people like Tom Brady and others, means
And
they
other
will
useless athletes.
will keep selling it. Some alpine skiers, however, have found a use for KT tape that may have some genuine benefit if you can bring up the next slide. They're using it to keep their skin from freezing.
Or noses from falling
ski
off.
masks. Yeah, I gather ski masks also work. Now, I have another story to share. As I said, this is quite short. There's a
so
Ski
scandal.
masks probably move around though. The tape stays in place.
Yeah, that could be. And it does keep their noses on. But there's been another scandal at a beauty pageant. 12 contestants were disqualified for receiving Botox injections and or cosmetic surgery. The next slide, if you can bring up the next slide, these are some of the contestants. Now, if you're thinking, my God, someone's made them look like camels. No fear, they actually are very pretty camels.
Yes, they're lovely.
Yes.
Lovely camels.
They were
You
contestants.
see them in the glam segment.
Yeah.
They were contestants at the Camel Beauty Pageant, which is part of the annual King Abdulaziz Camel Festival in Ruma, Saudi Arabia. I think there's another slide of camels. Yep, camels. A clinic was
pretty camels.
They are. But I think we shouldn't camel shame the larger eared camels. It's just wrong. Because then all the other camels are forced to live up to these expectations.
Didn't realize they were so tall.
Yeah,
they are.
A clinic. They're big animals. A clinic was found.
I've ridden them. They're fun to ride.
Ooh, wow. Clinic was found to be injecting Botox into the upper and lower lips, the nose, and the jaws of various camels to make the head more inflated. So when the camel comes, it's like, Oh, look at how big that head is. It has big lips, a big nose, according to Ali al-Mazrui, the son of a camel breeder from the United Arab Emirates.
It sounds like an insult. You son of a camel breeder!
Yeah. Now, in addition to Botox, one veterinarian was caught surgically reducing the camel's ears to make them more dainty. The contest involves races and various beauty contests, and quite a lot of money is involved.
Some swimsuit competition?
Yeah. Never mind. NPR reports that it was going to be something about humps, two-piece, whatever.
No. Okay. No, that's right.
NPR reports that nearly $32 million is awarded just for the pageants. According to information distributed by the festival, being highly interested in camels, only Arabs of the Arabian Peninsula, more than others, can recognize the qualities of the camels and deal with their peculiar characteristics. So they differ in their attitude towards this animal. Only Arabs of the Arabian Peninsula can distinguish between camels, as they have special criteria according to which they describe camels, unquote. This statement is accompanied by the following graphic, if you could bring up the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another camel owner.
Standards of camel beauty.
Yeah.
That's like
although it's
one of
not
those dog
particularly
charts.
helpful. Another camel owner described various ways owners cheat to artificially enhance their camel's natural beauty.
Huh, that's a Withers.
Yeah. For example, they start to pull the lips of the camel. They pull it by hand like this every day to make it longer. Secondly, they use hormones to make it more muscular, and Botox makes the head bigger and bigger. Everyone wants to be a winner. Now, this actually sounds a little bit more like what Lance Armstrong used to win, rather than kinesiotape, when you were getting the hormones and so on. And by the way, I hope the camels firmly kicked the people pulling their lips, injecting them with things, and subjecting them to unnecessary surgery right about a foot above the stifle.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's really all I've got.
All right.
I'm sure the camels were just lovely even before the Botox. It must be hard for them when they're trying to spit.
With their lips passing back.
I'll tell you, that really was weird though, that dark spot under her tights.
Yeah.
And you kept I mean, she's skating and I keep seeing this dark spot and I'm like, does she have a tattoo? Because that's a giant tattoo she has a tattoo.
And that's in a
then
weird place.
It took me like 5 minutes to suddenly go, oh, that's what that is. It's tape. I mean, I suddenly remembered, it's a very strange place because it goes all the way up. Just like, oh wow. But she did land that triple axel, man.
Yeah.
That was beaut.
Yep.
I remember when triple axles were like the special thing and not the normal stuff.
Well, there's still a special thing in women's competition.
Yeah.
She's only like
that's
the
like
seventh
the minimum requirement to get into the Olympics. You have to be
the third woman to
She's only the third woman to land in
my
Olympics. Yeah, she's the first U.S. woman too, because Tanya Harding never did.
Yeah.
Okay.
She landed in nationals, I think. Worlds.
Thanks, Eve. Sorry. Thanks, both of you guys, because stuff and things.
Mm-hmm.
Camels. Speaking of camels, up next, Bob's got stuff.
Today, I want to speak to you of l'amour.
You look like Tim the Toolman Taylor's neighbor.
Yeah.
What?
I can only see you from there.
Hell up.
I think that's the shape of your window.
It is, but it's probably not just mine.
I don't know.
I can see me.
He's always low. He's always like way down there. He always looks like he's.
Mm-hmm. Okay then.
Better?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So
hit me in the head.
Today I'm speaking of love. Essentially, the act of love.
Please don't.
In the animal kingdom. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I've got a quiz for you. All right.
Oh, boy.
So,
Oh God.
Oh, we love these.
yes,
Yeah,
they
we
love
love
them. Eve.
In quotes, we
More.
love them.
Yeah.
All right. So, sea slugs engage in which of the following mating rituals? Do they engage in autophagy, anal origami, penis fencing, or a snot off, which is like a dance off, only with mucus?
I'm gonna go with snot off.
Snot off. Okay.
What was it? Phallic fencing? No, I'll go with that.
Oh, I like phallic. It's better than penis fencing.
That's better.
Yeah.
Phallus fencing.
What was I don't
The
care.
other two were autophagy or anal origami.
I really don't care. Go ahead, tell me the answer.
Penis fencing. They're hermaphroditic, and they want to. You don't want to be the female, because it comes with getting stabbed.
Responsibilities. No.
Yeah. So there's a weenie fight.
Oh boy.
Yes. Okay. So number 2.
I hope the next one is better.
Oh yes, these just get better and better.
Something that you might actually be interested in knowing.
All right, so bluegill are known to do what for opportunities to fertilize clutches of eggs? Sing, bring intoxicating beetles to females who eat them and then wander away from the clutch, to impersonate a female to get close to and then sneak past aggressive males, or beg for it shamelessly, like really shamelessly, for hours and hours.
I'm gonna go with beg for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention, so I don't even know what critters we're talking about. So I'm going to say voluntarily goes to a 50 Shades of Grey movie.
Yeah.
Because that's the most shameful thing I
gonna
can
say-
think
That
of.
fall into begging, I think. That
I was gonna say hold my purse. I don't know.
bargaining.
Yeah. No, in fact, they will impersonate a female to get close to and then sneak past larger aggressive males.
Also known as the Tom Hanks fish.
Yeah. All right, so
Or the Dustin Hoffman fish. No.
okay, so the
I
hangfly male must what? Give the female a large bug meal, or she will wander off before he fills her with sperm, which can take 20 minutes.
Jeez.
B, steal sperm of other males, don't ask how. C, knit an elaborate sweater for the female that has 6 little arms for her before she will accept him. Or
I'm going sweater.
D, prove his mettle in a feat of arms against another male.
I'm gonna go with A.
A?
Yep.
What is
A and A? A was give her a large bug meal.
Bug meal.
Then there's the whole filling of with
Eve,
sperm.
you have a get. Yeah. You go with a sweater?
I'm going with sweater. And then also the duel.
Well, I was going to go
On
with
some
feet of
sort
arms.
like
because,
a horse.
You know, it's got to be for one of these, right? I don't know.
Okay,
Feet of
yeah.
arms.
So A is right.
Oh wow!
Yay!
Finally got one.
Give her a big
Absolutely.
bug, and she's putty in your hands. But if she finishes the bug, she will just wander off. So yeah, bummer. Let me see. So here's something about prairie voles.
Oh, great.
Okay, which of the following is true? Prairie voles are monogamous unless they are drunk. Exhibitionist, as in they use loud coitus to attract crowds of voles, who in turn are turned on, and then it just becomes a gigantic additional potential mates in a big vole orgy.
Orgy.
Yeah. They're prone to rupturing their penises during the procreative act, or they're fertile for one brief period in their life where they become sexually irresistible to both male and female voles.
Winky rupturing.
I'm gonna go with
Did you say winky?
D.
Okay.
X.
All right. No, they're monogamous unless they get drunk.
Okay.
That makes me so happy. Yeah, the
What?
males will go. They're monogamous, but if they're drunk, the males will wander away. So yeah. Finished.
I told her, "Ooh, check out that bowl."
Yeah.
So, sort of like that.
Sort of like that.
How do they get drunk?
I don't know. I think researchers just do stupid things to them.
So they're tempting they're breaking up happy vole homes for the sake of science.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
The science got mad.
so messed up.
All right.
Evil.
So, finish the following scientific paper title. The first case of homosexual necrophilia in the blue-footed booby, tufted titmouse, housefinch, or mallard.
What?
Mallard.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
The
Mallard.
first case of homosexual necrophilia in the blue-footed booby, the tufted titmouse, the housefinch, or the mallard.
It's got to be the mallard because it's the only one that doesn't have a euphemism in the name.
And I actually thought it might have been in the Netherlands, but I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Don't mallards have? Don't they have like? Yeah, no.
They're basically feathered sex offenders.
An arms race between
Feathered
males
sex
and females.
offenders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eve is right. It is, in fact, the first case of homosexual necrophilia in the mallard. It was published, and the paper won an Ig Nobel Prize, and it became the subject of the homosexual necrophilic duck opera by composer Daniel Gillingwater, and that was much better than Cats.
Well, yeah. I'd like to point out that Andrew Hansford also got that correct.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's my duck fucking quiz today.
Nailing all of them. Well, and
Yeah. I so wanted to be able to use the mating dance of one of the birds of paradise, but everything would have been copyrighted. There's some really phenomenal footage of the birds of paradise doing mating dances, which I use any excuse to show that to my students, just because they're amazed that this stuff happens in nature. So
blue-footed boobies are kind of entertaining too, because basically the mating dance is sort of like, have you seen my feet? They're very blue.
Hello.
And then there's also the whole, just wonderful videos of them trying to land because they're terrible at it. I mean, they try really hard, but they fall down.
Are they black and blue-footed boobies?
No.
Afterwards, yes.
Afterwards, yes.
So some of the bird mating rituals are just, there's so. The other one that I was going to do was going to be the penguin. The adult, what was it? Adel? I forget which type. Adelie penguin, which is a bird that practices prostitution.
No,
Shiny rocks.
I think a number of the penguins do.
Huh.
Yeah, shiny rocks get you access. Well, that just means that a rock is worth $130,000.
No, that's for afterwards.
No, okay.
That's
hush money.
That's not for sex. It's for keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell which of the penguins are worth keeping their mouth shut. So
Jesus.
The exchange rate, it fluctuates. Never mind. Penguin bobbles.
Do you take Bitcoin? Sorry. Anyway.
Bit pebble.
Okay. Moving right along. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. You follow that.
I'm gonna I've got I've got 3 little quickies,
Cool.
which is not related to Bob's segment.
Yeah.
But, they're all videos. So let's do the first one. So everyone's been watching the Olympics, but no one has really
Holy
been
hell.
paying
It
attention
has no head.
to other events that have been going on in the same area. Apparently, this past week there was a skiing competition. It's not like technically Olympic, but it was very, very riveting. And I'm going to start this
That's
video.
creepy as hell.
So this is
yeah.
this is a news report of an event that was going on a few miles away from where the Olympics are going on, and these are.
Oh, I love it. Pulls its little things up. That's so funny.
I know, these are actually it's like 7 schools within the country that are competing with their different skiing robots to see if they can slalom down this and some of them
They
No,
can't.
not
Never
that
can. Johnny 5 is
But the
alive.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is off the shelf and just like these are college teams, so I know.
To be fair,
are just
some
wonderful.
of
That's cheating, isn't that cheating? I think that's cheating.
Yeah.
He's pulling the skier.
Anyway, but there was a competition for like 10 grand, but it was still quite fun, and it was all over the place. All the news services were covering this. So, and the great thing about these competitions is the falls. So yeah, I will link to more information on that.
That
That's
is cool. So
awesome.
are these scanning ahead, or are they just reacting, or are they just mostly
Mostly
floating?
they're just falling over the gates.
They're supposed to be autonomous, so these are supposed to use vision or some other techniques to see and avoid and slalom. So
Okay.
they don't seem to be doing the job very well. But
yeah,
it could also be that the more interesting ones they put in the video were.
Well, one of the things that they were saying about some of the ski competition is that when there's no contrast on the slopes, that it's very hard for them
Yeah.
to see and to anticipate. So I wondered, like, would that be a problem for the robots?
Yeah. They didn't talk too much about the technology they were using, but using off the shelf type stuff. So I'm assuming some kind of pattern recognition. The red and blue, you could probably contrast that in such a way from the white background.
Mm-hmm.
And the weather seemed like it was pretty good, so you get good lighting. But
yeah,
they also didn't seem to do very well. So
well, I think at this point in computer vision, that probably the biggest challenge is judging distance.
Yes.
At least in that context, I would think it was. It used to be finding edges, but
Well, and edges are still difficult when you're doing rotations.
You know this from personal experience, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah, one of the problems that we're trying to solve is creating a vision system that can see another spacecraft off in the distance and rendezvous with it, close in on it, match its speed and rotation, and then eventually get close enough to grab it. All by itself.
Part of the problem with that is you can do that if you know one of the things. Like if you know how big something is, then you can judge how fast it's going by how it grows and shrinks and so forth. But if you don't, if you know how fast it's going, then you can tell how big it is, and but you can't. You need that one piece of information. There's too many degrees of freedom.
Yeah. And a lot of stuff that we do is based on, friendly targets, so we know something more about them. It's not just some random thing we're supposed to recognize and then grab it. It's supposed to be a target that we know. We can kind of prime things to recognize the patterns. So yeah. Another video. This one has been going all over the internet the last week. It's our friends at Boston Dynamics, and of course, this is a robot that they've been putting videos out for.
I love this.
Where's it?
A year or so. It's the latest incarnation of the big dog, but it's the Spot Mini. So it's sleek and small. It's battery driven. It's completely non-tethered, and it balances so elegantly. And now it's got. There was actually a video last year with an arm on it, a bigger arm on it that didn't really grab stuff. So it's the same kind of configuration as that, but for some reason now they taught it to open doors. Now,
Patton and Scarlet, Bob.
They are. One will open the door for the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that isn't clear from this video is how much of this is autonomous behavior and how much it is remote controlled.
Well, it looked like it was programmed to whine.
Yeah. Well, that's actually because I had this conversation with someone recently. A lot of the robotic technology has been around for a very long time, either whether it's been electronic, or pneumatic, like hydraulic. And we've been doing stuff for movies for a very, very long time. But making something look like it's doing something and making something actually do something, especially when you're talking about remote control or autonomous control, is a huge difference. And these robots recognizing a door handle, then being able to find it and grab onto it and apply the right torque to it. And then that little maneuver of reaching around the door.
Yeah, reaching around. Really I was impressed by that. That was cool.
It looks really cool in this video, but it's not clear who's controlling it, whether that is an automatic behavior, a learned behavior, or it's someone remote controlling it.
Or it's another robot remote controlling it.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, one more quick video. So apparently last year, I completely missed it, probably because we missed a lot of shows, but this was in October, and I talked about it earlier in the year because there's a American company called Megabots and a Japanese company which Suedo Basi or something like that. I can't say it right. That these are like the first two companies to actually try to make large mechanized battle bots where you can like ride inside them and like shoot stuff and battle. And here's the screenshot, and I'm trying to fast forward to some of the interesting. So apparently they actually did a battle. Oh yeah, this is okay. I'm gonna let it go because this is roughly where they did a little bit of battle. That's the Japanese robot there, and it doesn't have any projectile weapons. It just has arms. The American one looks a little bit more industrial, and it has a gun that shoots like large paintball things or something. It was totally ineffective. Anyway, this sounds like look that's kind of cool. It sounds like something that would be awesome to watch. You're like, it's like battle bots, but they're huge and they've got people in them. So there's like some danger, but it really turned out to be a 30-minute video of them like driving toward each other and then getting stuck. And then the humans get out and then they fix that and they talk for another 20 minutes and they have to like reset. And then and they try to dramatize it because they have like stacks of cars that they accidentally knock over and that's drama. But it's wow, these things are way far away from anything that we
could be anything interesting.
Yeah.
So the robot apocalypse is going to be sort of slow and ungainly.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would expect the robot apocalypse would be smaller, more nimble things.
Yeah.
That were more organic.
Adorable doggy robots.
Not huge things like this. Look at this. He's like pushing his gun into him slowly, and that's supposed to do some damage.
Yeah.
Anyway,
giant robot duel.
Yeah, I mean,
Japanese are weird.
As far as this Americans and Japanese, they're doing this. So yeah, but it's as a first attempt. But yeah, keep an eye. They'll do more because I mean, obviously, people are interested. So I'll link to the video. It's long and slow. Skip to the good parts, please. But there you go. I can't believe I missed it because it must have been because there was no hype because there was kind of like.
Is that Trey Parker and Matt Stone or no?
No. They do kind of look like them.
I'm not wrong. Thank you.
Yes. Anyway, so there you go. There's the robot apocalypse thing of the week. And Pierre Cloutier, yes, I would hope for something like Power Rangers, but no, not yet. We've got some
Or
technological
Pacific Rim.
hurdles. Yeah, yeah. And see, the thing is, the movie robots don't have to actually obey physics.
No.
Right.
And it's the problem we have with giant robots is the same problem we have with a lot of flying vehicles, is that the power to weight ratio isn't there yet. I mean, if you look at Iron Man in the Marvel comics and in the movies, I mean, the whole point of that, the whole reason that that's supposed to work, is that he has managed to figure out how to produce a shit ton of power in a very small mechanism, and we don't have that yet. So if we can figure that out, then there's all kinds of really cool stuff we can do, and scary stuff we can do, but we haven't done that yet. So,
Oh, they have a chainsaw.
yeah, drama.
How'd that work?
Here we go. He's charging. He's charging with a chainsaw. And no, he stopped. I don't know. What's he doing now? It's not clear. Now there's a pilot sitting there. I don't see. This is the whole thing. It's like
They weren't ready yet.
and knocking over barrels again.
Oh God, that's that's sad when it's the barrels that are.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
they tried their best to produce drama, and it just wasn't happening. Anyway.
Maybe they could set them on fire. That would be cool. Flaming robot battles. No.
There you go. He's spinning. Look, he's like spinning. It's like paintballs, and he's spinning the. I don't know.
Oh, that's just goofy, is what that is. And he dropped it.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
It's like the Crushinator versus the Crushinator from Futurama.
Like from The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, there's and that didn't work.
There's the
chainsaw
stuck. I don't know. It's 5 more minutes of them trying to get it unstuck.
It seems to me that it'd be extremely dangerous for the people who are filming.
I guess.
If you have a chainsaw at speed, bits could come off. At speed.
It's not at speed. They shake the camera to make it look like it's fast.
Oh God, that's so sad. I'm just
anyway.
It's at a speed. It just happens to be a kind of slow one.
Look. They knocked some stuff over.
A thing fell over.
You'd think somebody would have tested this before they decided to make a show out of it.
We're not gonna watch this whole thing, are we?
Please, let's not.
No.
Okay, so moving right along. I think that's pretty much the show. We need to do the closing out stuff and things, which is like stuff we normally do. Anybody got books? Because we gotta do that. We have any
I got one.
announcements? Do we have announcements?
Nope.
No.
Announcements? No? Nobody's doing anything in the real world?
Well, we're looking at Dragon Con.
Yeah, Dragon Con's coming.
Not for a while
or whatever.
Sorry, guys.
You
could Skype me in and Google me in.
We'll do what we can.
Then me too, because I won't be there either. So.
You're not going?
No.
But you're right there.
You're right.
You're not that far away.
From what, Dragon Con?
Yeah.
Think about Zoom.
Do you know how far away Atlanta is from Baltimore?
How far? It's a lot closer than I am.
Well, that's true, but it's relative.
Yes, but how far is it? How far is it?
It's a far way.
It's a far away. I'm going to look it up.
Longer flight than I expect.
See, there's on the map. This is Baltimore, and that's Atlanta.
I have no scale.
Yeah,
that helped a lot. Yes.
I'm looking because I gotta know. Atlanta.
So, no announcements.
Oh yeah. It's almost 11 hours. It's 10 hours 45 minutes.
Go.
Yeah, it's further than I thought.
Yep. Anyway, books. Who's doing books?
I got one.
Anybody got a book? Go ahead, Barbara. Since you're prepared.
You see, I had this spacesuit. How it happened was this way. Dad, I said, I want to go to the moon. Certainly, he answered, and looked back at his book. This was Jerome K. Jerome's 3 Men in a Boat, which he must know by heart. I said, Dad, please, I'm serious. This time he closed the book on a finger and gently said, I said it was all right, go ahead. Yes, but how? Eh? He looked mildly surprised. Well, that's your problem, Clifford.
I know this book. Who's next?
I figured you would.
Okay.
Go.
Witchcraft is about doing evil. That is how people in the 17th century thought about it. A witch is someone who harmed others or tried to do so. But for the magistrates and ministers, and for many of the colonists, a witch was also someone who allied himself or herself with that great figure of evil, Satan.
Which
Satan.
one?
Satan.
Okay. Could it be Satan?
Satan.
Go ahead, Eve.
In the light of earlier studies, the dead in sagas generally become restless of their own free and often malevolent will. Consequently, activity after death was usually not a punishment for the deceased, but an expression of their wish to continue to participate in the society of the living. Behind this was presumably a belief in some kind of life power and vitality that remained in the human body after death, a pagan relic, as Veistein Olafsson has called it, that may have survived in 13th and 14th century Iceland.
I'm sorry it's taken so long for me to call you and apologize for the fact that your data was compromised. We are all going to do everything we can to protect your identity in the future. We're going to notify you officially as it is required by law, but the party is taking extra steps to make sure that this does not happen again. I've created a cybersecurity task force, and our system is up and working again. I want you to know we have not just put a Band-Aid on this, but a tourniquet to make our system safe going forward. And again, I want to apologize for all the trouble that we have caused you and your family. Barbara, what's your book?
You know it. It is. You're gonna guess? Brian, what is it?
Have Space
On the tip of your tongue? Yes, it is. Have Space Will Travel by Heinlein.
Which the audiobook is done by Will Wheaton, which is
oh really? Oh, I gotta listen to it because I've never actually read the book. Will Wheaton he did a great job with Ready Player One, I thought.
Yeah, he's great reading. So yeah. Bob, your book?
Witch Hunting in 17th century New England, a documentary history by David D. Hall. Get it at a library near you.
You have the code?
It's in the BFs.
Eve, what was your book?
Well, it's an article by Kirsi Kanerva called From Powerful Agents to Subordinate Objects, The Restless Dead in the 13th and 14th century Iceland, from Death in Medieval Europe, Death Scripted and Death Choreographed, edited by Joelle Rollo Koster.
I like the cover.
Death
Woman.
Yeah.
That is, yes. It's a well-scythed death. Sickled, actually.
Yes. Mine is a book called Hacks. The inside story of the break-ins and breakdowns that put Donald Trump in the White House.
Oh.
By Donna Brazil.
I was just going to say it was Equifax's
Can you see it?
Daily Memo.
Yep.
Wait, Donna, is that the one where she was...
She was the one who took over the DNC.
Yeah.
After the...
But then decided to say really inflammatory, weird things?
Yeah, she lost her shit as soon as she started publishing it.
Yeah, I didn't
promoting
say any shit. There's stuff in the book where she's really upset about the way where the DNC was being run before she took over.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that crazy in the book. Kathleen, my girlfriend, actually met her at a book signing. So
wow.
I don't think she said anything crazy then, but yeah.
No, when she started off the book, I forget what it was, but she was showing up and like confirming conspiracy theories and all sorts of weird ass shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really disgraceful.
Wow.
I knew she was doing anything to promote the book. How is the book?
It was all right. I mean, it's pretty just a straightforward of what happened.
How is that? How is that other one? The one about the
Fire
Trump.
and Fury.
Fire and Fury.
Yeah, Fire and Fury.
For me, it was just a reminder of everything that had happened over the past year.
I know. Fuck.
It was like,
That's what I was expecting. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there were some things I didn't know about. There some of some of the stuff that I have no way of confirming whether it's true or not. Like, there's a lot of stuff about David Bannon's intentions and what he was trying to do. But this is all stuff that how are you going to know whether that's true or not?
Well, a lot of it hasn't been. Most of it hasn't been refuted. I mean, it hasn't been denied. Some of it has.
He apologized for some of the stuff he said, but Bannon did during an interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was not a huge surprise. But
so basically, it's a well-ordered, finely honed machine. That was basically the takeaway, or was it a dumpster fire at a fireworks factory?
It was exactly what I expected, which is this is a year of people who did not even expect to ever be in the position they were and way over their heads.
Yeah.
Also evil.
Yes, and also evil. But
well, we shouldn't get into that because we could.
No, yeah,
we could go for another hour. Yay! So I guess that's everything. We did our book time. We did our stuff and things and other things. And
now we're depressed. So everything worked out.
Who gets the movie?
What? Huh?
Movie.
Who gets the movie?
Oh, early on, Andrew Hansford got it dead on before I even got into the YouTube, the chat thing. He got it right away.
And Nathan got it eventually.
Nathan guessed wrong up front, but he eventually.
What did he say first?
What did he guess?
Well, let's see.
Fifth Element.
Yeah, but I want to read what he said. Virtual Skeptics, it's live. It's like a cult classic. I feel like I'm watching The Fifth Element. But it's not a film.
He could have just been describing.
Yeah, I don't think he
I'd
was.
like to call a demo man to clear out my first guess. So that was pretty good too. So.
Yeah.
It's Demo Man?
I recognize the hair.
Oh, Demolition Man.
Wesley Snipes hair, yeah.
Yeah, because it just.
I recognized it too. I've never seen the movie, so the title didn't stick to my head. So I couldn't guess what it was.
It is a wonderful, horrible 80s. Not 80s. I think it was late 80s.
I think it was 90s.
Yeah, I think it was maybe. I don't remember the date on this one. But it was just one of those dystopia but campy sci-fi.
Demolition Man. 93.
Yeah. So there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
And
we're
Rob
old.
Schneider as a carrot.
Yeah, if
Anyway.
it's Rob Schneider, it would have had to have been
Rob
90.
Schneider. So I guess that's the show. Let me do the things and stuff. Everybody, thank you for watching and participating. And I'm
see you in another 6 weeks.
Yes. We'll have
Don't say that.
Someday. I'm behind. Skeptics is an independent production of what'stheharm.net. Skeptical Humanities, myself, ICBS Everywhere, and Delphi News. Our logo is designed by Sarah Mayhew at sarahmayhew.com. And our theme music is by Music Hint and used with permission.
What animal are you trying to attract, Bob?
It's a bird of paradise.
Oh.
Fine.